Hey friends, it is Friday, January 27th, and I have a special treat for today. It is one of my friend's birthdays. Well, his birthday was 2 days ago, but we had a birthday lunch to celebrate him today. And a friend of ours came in from out of town. His name is Chris Mitchell, and Chris was actually my boss for about 12 years and one of my closest spiritual advisors. I hold this man in high regard. And I got a chance to talk to him today a little bit about a trip that he has coming up in March. And so I wanted to share, or wanted to allow him to share a little bit of the story with you guys. So check this out.
Well, in the late 90s, my wife and I were connected to some missionaries in Guatemala, and after there had been a civil war there, a long civil war in Guatemala, there was a pretty significant humanitarian crisis that was going on in the country in the late 90s, where a lot of children had become orphaned, and they were flooding the children's homes, and sort of there was a capacity problem with the way that they were being taken care of. And we had talked a lot about adoption, and so our hearts kind of got involved in that problem, and we felt like God was really calling us to look into and to consider adopting a child from that children's home. And we went through that process and just felt like this was sort of our step into the world of what God had called us to do to help out in a really difficult situation. But of course, in 2000 in the summer, we took a trip down to Guatemala to finally meet our son for the first time. And the missionaries met us at the airport and handed us this bundle of wrapped up blankets with this little baby boy in it. And from that moment on, it was no longer about saving the world or being a part of this humanitarian crisis. It was about this relationship with this little boy that we had. And of course, we instantly fell in love with him. And he was our son. And so we just dedicated ourselves to raising him and taking care of him and being a part of his life, and him a part of ours has just been a wonderful thing, and we've raised him that way. Now fast forwarding 17 years later almost, he's 17 and he's very curious about Guatemala, where he came from, and about the people and the culture, and we've read books and seen pictures and really studied it. He's been very curious about it. So he knows a lot about the government and issues that they've had and the culture of it, but he's never been there. And we just felt like it's time. He and I should go, and it'll be my first time back in the country, so it's been a long time, and so I'm really looking forward to that from my perspective, but more because I think it's really going to help him understand and fill in some of those blanks about where he came from and what the people there are like. And I think that's just been a real need for him. And so I'm very excited, and we have a lot of hope about what God's going to do for him and his life and for me as we get to do this together and go back to Guatemala. Well, my church has a partnership with an organization called Living Water. And you know, one of the things that we found out as I've gotten to know the organization and hear their story and what it is they're trying to accomplish in the world, finding out that a lack of access to clean water is actually the number one cause of death in the third world. It's beyond every disease, every other problem can be sourced back to the lack of access to clean water. And that just feels, for us as Americans, it feels preposterous. We can't even imagine that is the problem that they have, and that problem should go unsolved is just unconscionable. I feel like we can and we must do something about the problem of lack of access to clean water. It's not that complicated or difficult a problem to solve, and it's not necessarily that expensive of a problem to solve. It's just in places where poverty is so rampant, they just have no way to actually accomplish that on their own. So for the church to kind of rally and gather people together and gather resources and head out to places that don't have access to clean water and actually do something about it, I feel like the church must and should be about that. We should be helping in ways and solving problems in ways that actually help people where they live and how they live. And as a part of the process of that, of course, there will be communities that feel like they're forgotten. Nobody cares. Nobody knows who they are or cares who they are. And so for us to just show up and say, hey, we see you, we see this problem, we care about you, and we're going to help, and we're going to bring something pretty significant to your community that will change your life, because then they won't have to spend 6 to 8 hours a day just in the search for clean water to drink. They can use that same time to actually be productive and maybe maybe get educated, which is part of what's taken hold, or maybe find an industry where the economy can sort of begin to change. Of course, healthcare and other things can be taken care of better with clean water. And so all those things begin to change in the communities where all we did was turn this little problem and found one solution, and it sort of has an exponential effect on these communities. I feel like we have to do that. So Living Water is an organization where we feel really passionate about supporting and helping their cause. And so Guatemala, the interesting thing is there was an opportunity for us to go to Guatemala actually to do this, to drill a freshwater well. And it turns out that it's in the region where Gibson was born, my son was born. And maybe it's only God that just sort of orchestrates and arranges these kind of things, but I feel very blessed to not only be taking this trip with my son and helping him experience these beautiful people but not only experiencing them and learning about the culture, but actually being able to help in a significant way. And I think it's going to be life-changing for both he and I.
It's obvious hearing from Chris just how passionate he is about things, and he's that way pretty much in general in regards to life, but when you start to talk to him about his kids or a cause, he really comes alive pretty quickly. He didn't mention this, but I'm going to put a link down below where you can actually donate to help Chris and his son Gibson get to Guatemala. Again, it is happening in the month of March, right at the end of March, I believe, and they are trying to raise some money to get down there. So I would personally appreciate if you would take a look at that and see if it's something that resonates with you, and know that you will be helping someone go out there and make a difference in the world. So with that, I will leave you with be the light and go out into your world and make a difference. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yay! Matlack Films!
Me.